Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Your Heart is Calling. Holy smokes, it has been over a year since I last posted an episode. And I will be honest, I actually tried to start and stop a number of times. I've recorded several episodes since then that never made it to the interwebs. And it's been quite the journey, just really allowing myself to have the starts and stops and be kind to myself and hold compassion when I have a lot of things to say. I'm excited about a lot of the things I'm learning and I want to share them, yet my voice sometimes feels blocked and I just don't feel ready. And so, that is part of the journey. And it's also part of one of the things that I want to talk about as I move forward with Your Heart is Calling. I think the title of this podcast is still super relevant. If you are feeling like there is just some sort of whisper inside that's wanting you to move forward, grow, do new things, express your ideas, move forward on a project or some some creative endeavor, then this might be a really interesting podcast for you. I really want to try to just be honest and upfront with the fact that I am still swimming through my own caterpillar soup at the time. And I heard this term from another person that I follow on Instagram, April J. And it just resonated so strongly with me. Before, if you don't know, before a butterfly like turns into a butterfly, when it's still a caterpillar, it totally loses like all sense of structure inside the cocoon before it turns into the butterfly. And that is basically like the messy caterpillar soup time. And it's like all part of the process. And sometimes it can be hard to know, like, am I still in the caterpillar soup stage? Am I a butterfly yet? Like, where am I in this whole process? And, part of it is that sometimes it feels really clear and sometimes it doesn't. And I just want to come with just an honest take on my own journey, sharing some of the insights that I've had, hopefully talking to others as well. Just really trying to shine some light on the path that is putting yourself out there, whether that be in a business, maybe business related. We'll see. That is still something that has been kind of in and out for me, whether or not I really will focus on work and business or not. So you will definitely probably hear some things around that, but also more general, because I also believe that all the stuff that we encounter in our work also is super relevant to our lives. And especially if you are someone that cares about alignment and having a life that is in alignment with the values that you have in all aspects of life. Work and life are all going to be kind of mixed in together. So some of the other topics that I just know I want to explore moving forward are just around inner clarity. Like, what is it to tap into your intuition and your inner wisdom, and how can we use that for clarity in our decision making and in our lives? How can we find um essentially just momentum and safety and just a sense of peace in our bodies as we're moving forward? So there's some components of energy and nervous system support that have certainly been a big part of my journey. And those are the parts that have gotten me to the point where I'm ready to speak again. And so certainly important aspects to bring into the conversation. I also really want to talk about healing outdated patterns. I think that this can show up in many different ways, but it certainly has been a big part of my own journey, is really starting to become more aware of what are my patterns. Can I take those things that have just been running in the background unconsciously, bring them up to the surface so I'm more aware of them? And then that's where you can start to change them. And so really shifting out of things like self-doubt, people pleasing, perfectionism. All of these are the aspects that often make it challenging for us to move forward on the things that we want to do in life. And I just really want to create space for a new way of showing up. And then last but not least, I really want to also talk about the action steps of moving forward. So, you've got doing and being as kind of this is how it was for me in my journey. I was a doer for many, many years. I prided myself in being a really hard worker. I got a lot done. That is how I found my like how I felt good, was to believe that the things that I did were, helping others, or I was a good hard worker. And so that is what made me feel good about myself. Now, fast forward to the last couple of years, as some of those aspects of they didn't go as planned. I wasn't feeling good about the things that I had done related to my business. It didn't quite go the way that I thought it was going to. And so I had to really take stock of okay, well, can I still be with myself and love and find compassion for myself when things aren't going great on the outside? So bringing that really back more into an internal focused sense of peace and acceptance and love, all starting with me nourishing myself with that, so that then when I step out into the world, I'm not as caught up in things like external validation or wanting to prove to others that I am a hard worker, I am good at this. And that is where I find my sense of kind of peace and belonging. These are all things that are work in progress for me. Don't think that I've got it all figured out, but I certainly have spent a lot of time and energy and honestly self-compassion, many, many hours really trying to take stock of what are the things that are important. How do we change these narratives that are happening inside ourselves? And then ultimately, that is what helps us show up more authentically in others and in community, and helps us take the steps that we want to take in order to build the kind of world that we want to live in. And ultimately, that is what I'm really passionate about. And so, welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited to dive in with some new topics. I might pull a few of my older episodes that I already recorded in. And just because I think some of the content is super relevant, and it's funny that I just never was willing to put it back out there. So, it's never too late. And maybe I was just queuing up my batching content for this, and I didn't even know it, back in the last 6 months ago or whatever when I was doing it. And the other thing that I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now is I have decided that it is better for me to show up imperfectly than to have perfectly edited and beautiful shots and things like that. And so you might hear some ums and ahs, because I've decided I'm not going to try to spend a whole bunch of time editing that stuff out. I think that that is the best way for me to improve actually my speaking, is to hear some of that and work on making it better over time. And so that's my goal. My goal isn't to show up and have this polished first version. It's to show up more authentically, and you're kind of going to get a little bit more of the less polished view because of that. And I hope that you'll stick around, and because the content is good, and maybe not that I am, a perfect public speaker at this point, but definitely wanting to just share some of the stuff that I've learned, and hope that it's really helpful to folks that might be going through similar things, and just learn and grow together. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to be on this journey with you.